A ghost in the garden.
After my husband retired at the age of 60, he began to take up gardening as a new hobby. Initially, he just bought some flower pots to place in the courtyard, but gradually he started planting trees and arranging small stones like a Zen garden, gradually turning it into quite an elaborate setup, typical of his meticulous nature. Regarding the small stones in the Zen garden, he once proudly told me that he had gotten them very cheaply, but I wasn't particularly interested and just smiled politely. Our house was purchased when my husband was 35, with a 30-year mortgage. With 5 years remaining on the mortgage, my husband said he could still work, so he took a part-time job as a night security guard about half the time each month. Our children had already become independent, leaving me idle at home each day. One night, I got up to go to the bathroom and happened to glance out at the courtyard from the hallway. I saw a strange purple light, something resembling a will-o'-the-wisp. As I looked more closely, the light suddenly disappeared. I thought it might have been a reflection from a nearby light or that I had seen it wrong, so I went back to bed. Maybe it was because of that strange light, but I had a terrible dream. In the dream, my bedroom was surrounded by elderly people I had never seen before. When my husband came home at 7 a.m., I told him about it. Possibly because he was tired from his night shift, he only casually listened and then went to take a shower. Since it was just a dream, his reaction was understandable. However, something happened another night. I happened to look at the courtyard again, and not only did I see human spirits, but I also saw those elderly people from my dream slowly walking around in the dim light. I immediately panicked and called the police, reporting intruders. After the call, I didn't dare look at the courtyard again and stayed on the phone with the police until they arrived. About 5 minutes later, officers from the nearest police station arrived, but by then, there was no one in sight. The next morning, when my husband heard about it, he scolded me, "Don't disturb the neighbors in the middle of the night just because you saw something wrong." Although I couldn't accept it, I apologized. Thinking calmly, with no evidence and such an unusual sight, it was understandable to think I had seen it wrong. Since then, I started to fear the nights alone at home when my husband was on night shifts. I begged him, "Can you quit the part-time job, at least switch to day shifts?" but he ignored me. One night, alone again, I nervously looked out at the courtyard from the window I had been avoiding. To my horror, I saw those lifeless figures slowly shuffling around the courtyard again. Worse still, one of them seemed to notice me and appeared to be looking in my direction, causing me to quickly hide. I thought it was only a matter of time before they found me. I couldn't take it anymore and called my husband to come home. At first, he ignored me, but sensing my distress, he returned within 15 minutes, still in his work clothes. He said, "There's no one in the courtyard, don't worry." So, we went to check the courtyard together. Indeed, there was no one there. But then, we both froze in shock. When my husband shone his flashlight on the courtyard, we saw that the once neat Zen garden stones were marked with multiple footprints. A chill ran down my spine. It wasn't an illusion, they had really been here, I thought. My husband also had a serious expression. At that moment, I suddenly remembered something that had always bothered me and asked my husband, "Where did you get those cheap Zen garden stones?" His answer sent a shiver down my spine. He said that recently, many people had abandoned their gravestones, and these difficult-to-dispose gravestones were crushed and used as gardening materials. I questioned my husband, "How could you spread such ominous things in the courtyard?" My husband, now also feeling uneasy, promised to have the gardening vendor properly consecrate them at a temple before disposing of them. A few days later, all the stones in the courtyard were collected and taken to a temple, where monks chanted prayers over them before they were discarded. Since then, no more human spirits or strange people have appeared at our home. But even now, whenever I look at the courtyard, the memory of those nights haunts me, leaving me restless in the dark hours.